Well, I definitely thought Junpei would go out eventually. I wasn't thinking it would be this episode. The thought process I had was that clearly it would be a teeter-totter. Which side would he fall on? Would he go with the sorcerers or would he go against them? And I thought eventually, even maybe in a few episodes, we could see his death. But I honestly wasn't expecting it in that moment. It felt something unnerving with him approaching down the stairs. But at the same time, I didn't think it would happen in that exact moment. This fight, it started making me think that. I thought eventually, maybe the next episode, maybe, as I was watching, I was like, okay, clearly he's having some doubts. This is gonna be a red flag for our antagonist here. And then it just happens so abruptly, and it's pretty soul-crushing. It's pretty disappointing, but in a good sense. It's disappointing because he was such a great character. In fact, I'd go as far to say Junpei was my favorite character that we've seen in Jujutsu Kaisen so far, but I can't say his death doesn't serve a purpose, and there's only a handful of shows that I think can introduce a character, a seemingly side character, that you feel like is gonna be around for a decent while, and then the author kills them, and you feel like, wow, on one hand, are you thinking it's wasted potential, or did this death serve a lot of purpose? One of the few cases that I can think of that really does kind of cement itself as like, I'm glad this death happened, but at the same time, I'm sad that we can't see more of them. I'm not going to go into super specifics just to avoid people to not get spoiled, even though it's a pretty old season. There's a point in the forest in the first season of Attack on Titan that something happens in a similar sense where I'm just like, wow, and this is one of those cases where I'm just like, wow, I love this character. I wish the character didn't die, but I can't deny the death serves such an importance to really change the foundation of what you think Jujutsu Kaisen is and what it can be. This episode got dark, this episode was twisted, this episode was emotionally engaging, and I like how this is a character who's been so twisted and tormented his entire life, who doesn't hate Yuji, who doesn't hate him as a friend, he just wants him to go away, and he doesn't understand what he's dealt with. Yuji's the type of character who wants to save everyone, who doesn't want to take a life, and we always knew there was going to come a point where he would have to. And honestly, I was thinking that this is what we were building up to. Rather than simply Mahito killing him or something like that, I thought it would be he would have to actually kill him. Even though it was looking rather bright, maybe he could join up with the Jujutsu sorcerers, it felt to me like that's what we were building up to, that this would be the turning point, that he would kill him because he had no other choice. It was kill or be killed. But when you're watching the fight and our boy is taking literally stab wounds that could kill most people, and not even batting an eye, just wanting to help him and listen to why he's in so much pain, you feel like he's gonna die, but then he's not gonna die. And this was a really great moment that, if you weren't spoiled like myself, you really probably were thinking, I don't know what's gonna happen. The logical side saying this has to be a death. And even when he's approaching down the stairs, I was still thinking, I was like, it can't end here. It can't. There's no way. This feels too important. Something's gonna happen. Nanami's gonna pop up or something. And then it just ends like that. And to see our boy go to such rage, who at first tries to make a bargain, I will literally give you anything, just heal him like you healed me, laughs in his face, and turns someone who would never kill a fly into someone who loses his cool to the point that he looks like a menace, and you think he's clearly gonna kill this man. He's clearly going to do so. And while watching the fight and seeing his rage build up more and more, to see Mahito just try to make a pact happen so he could lure Sukuna over to his side, and that's all he wants. This is what this whole ordeal is all about, why he manipulated a fragile boy into becoming his little puppet. To see a moment where you're like, oh my god, he's actually going to kill him, and then he doesn't. And you're like, wow, okay. Clearly we're about to swap sides. We're going to see the soul transfusion thing happen. And he calls him a fool. He says, know your place, fool. And I'm like, you can't touch him. You can't do anything to really force this pack to switch around. He already has made a deal that Yuji doesn't even remember, so he's set, he can't transfuse him. He knows nothing's bad going to happen. And the fact that he's not willing to switch himself, it makes it so he not only can he not use his trump card, he also can be injured by our boy. And with Nanami there, even though he can't kill him, he can slow him down, so it's looking rather bright, but then again, anything's possible. There's one character I would say is safe in this fight, and that's our protagonist, but even then, it feels like he's kind of lost his marbles. And I don't know what's going to happen. I think this episode serves such a great purpose in really making the viewers say, we feel safe. We feel even if something bad's happening, it's not going to happen just yet, and then it does. And we're almost in such shock and in awe that, like, rather than having the character kill him and put him out of his misery, he just drops dead before his eyes. This show really did cement itself this season as being something new, bold, and creative, and took an overused, saturated shonen battle genre and turn it into a dramatic drama that just keeps you coming back for more week after week with some of the best fight scenes and choreography that I've seen in quite some time. It's painful. That's the best way to put it. It's not that type of painful where you're crying your eyes out because a character you like is dead. It's the type of painful where you're just kind of shocked. You're like, why? Why did this have to happen? And where do we go from here? I think the most painful moment of the entire episode is seeing the what if. What could have been if he could have just went to the same school as Yuji, had friends that wouldn't burn cigarettes into his face, who wouldn't beat him or belittle him, and would be able to use that amazing ability of poison for a good thing. Amazing episode. I don't think many people are going to deny this is probably the best episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, and depending on where episode 13 goes, that could very well even top this one. I just think body reaction is something that gets overlooked so many times in a show like this, so to have an episode like this where characters are legit crushed as real people, where lifeless face is hunched over, unable to look at your hands because it's covered in your friend's blood. Like, it's just so much realism in such a supernatural setting. You're looking at curses and monstrosities and powerful auras, but it feels so human and genuine. That's the difference of a good anime production versus one that just kind of copies page for page, but takes the anime medium and really fleshes it out to be its absolute best. Something that you know stands above all others. Something that you know 10 years from now will still be recommended as one of the all-time greats for its genre. Jujutsu Kaisen could have easily been the hype thing of the season that got forgotten once it concludes. But no, it's definitely worthy of that hype, and I honestly would say even more hype than probably it's currently getting, and you don't get to say that too often. This show lived up to its hype, but then it surpassed that hype. I don't know how, but the material and the studio is incredibly passionate about it. I'm not sure, because of it being Christmas next week, if the episode's going to come out next week, or if they're going to take a break. I imagine it probably will, and then they'll take the break on the New Year's, because that's generally when anime takes their breaks. But yeah, incredible episode. We'll see where it goes in episode 13. I'm just shocked. It was dramatic, it was emotionally engaging, it had stakes that were at an all-time high, and rather than playing with the tropes and cliches, it invented its own formula that doesn't make you look or compare it to other series that came before. You just look at it as a Jujutsu Kaisen episode that crushed your soul, and honestly, doesn't have you excited to see what's going to happen because, oh, you know everything's going to be okay and our character's going to be a badass. You're excited to see probably something even worse happen next time, and even if it doesn't happen next time, you know no one's safe from this show, and that's what makes it so compelling. Fantastic 10 out of 10 episode. God damn. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Your favorite moment, and where do you think it might go in episode 13? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, of course, leave a like, share, your support. Hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. God damn, did this episode hit me. See you next time, everyone. Take care. Have a good one.